Hooks. Most hooks are a similar shape, even when made of a different material. Some people like the natural warmth of bamboo or wood, while others prefer the cheaper, sturdier metal hooks. Now, don't buy one type and be done with it. Try different materials to find your favourite. Plastic and aluminium hooks, like these, are likely the most common you'll find. These allow the yarn to slip easily through the stitches. Unfortunately, these aren't as comfortable to use on heavier projects or when used for longer periods. You could use some sponge or foam fabric around the handle to make things more comfortable. Or buy an ergonomic with a silicone or plastic or even a Fimo clay handle to it. Steel hooks. Steel hooks are tiny hooks, especially to make more intricate and lacy works. These are less likely to break than aluminium, and sometimes you can find these with a more ergonomic handle, like the plastic or the silicone. Wooden and bamboo hooks. Now, these tend to be slightly longer than their counterparts. Usually these are found as inline hooks. We'll go over that shortly. These are more flexible and lighter weight than aluminium, and so people tend to gravitate toward them when they first start out. Japanese hooks. If you have a knife grip, I'll explain this shortly, this style of hook is probably your most comfy style. These are mostly sold in sets, as seen here, but occasionally you can buy individually. The Japanese hooks can be quite expensive, so look after them well. Double-ended hooks. Most are a different size each side. A handy addition to your collection if you can get a hold of them. And the novelty hooks. So many choices on the market these days. Some can light up. That will aid in dim light conditions. They could be brightly coloured, filled with glitter, or have the polymer handles. Either way, your hook should be comfortable in your hand and not slip while you work. Whichever hook you use, the importance is in the diameter. No matter what project you work on, it will call for a certain weight of yarn on it. It will call for a certain hook size as well. We'll come to the size of the weight in another episode. Now, before we get into sizing, let's take a closer look at a hook. Here we have the head of the hook and the tip. Now, this might be pointy or rounded. Depending on which will depend on how well it gets into your stitches. Then we have the lip or the nose of the hook, the throat. Now that actually guides the yarn, that bit. Then you have the shank. Usually round about there, if you're a knife grip, you will have the size of the hook written on it. Here I have it on the handle. So that is a close-up of a hook. Of course, you've got the thumb rest, shank, handle. This is where you mainly hold it, whether you're pencil or whether you're knife grip. We'll go into that. We will go into that. Now, we are familiar with our tool. Let's look at sizes. All hooks should show their size on them. When your camera wants to focus. If they don't, you may need to use a hook gauge. We'll come into that as well in another episode. Now here is a simple chart made by Amelia Makes. It shows a few of the sizes and how they're named, both in the US terms and UK terms, which are different to each other. On this chart, we can also see the recommended weight of yarn to use with each. So at the top, we have a D hook of 3.25mm. This is used for superfine, fine yarn. These are known as sock, sport, fingering and 4-ply. Then we have an E hook or a 3.5, not only for the previous yarn weights, but also light yarn like 8-ply. Moving up in size, we have an F hook at 3.75. It can be used for the previous yarn weights. And now we move into the most used section, starting with a G hook or a 4mm. This hook is best for light and medium weights, like DK, worsted, 8-ply, Aran, 10-ply. Moving up in this section to an H or a 5mm hook, this can be used with ease to the previous hook's yarns. My personal favourite hook now, the I, 5.5mm, to be used with medium, bulky yarns like the worsted or Aran, 10-ply and chunky. Now we leave this most used section to bring the J hook, a 6mm. Same yarn weights as the previous hook, just giving a little extra ease of your work. The K, 6.5mm hook, is perfect for our chunky weighted projects. And the last on this particular list is all the way up to the N, a 9mm. No, not a gun. Pick up the 9mm hook. Perfect for those super bulky yarns. Super chunky. Hook size is an important factor in determining your project's gauge and in turn how those worked stitches will end up looking. Gauge in simple terms is how many stitches and rows make a certain amount of space. We'll go over gauge in another episode. Now, hooks can be tapered or inline. There's no right or wrong here, it's which you feel more comfortable with. The difference between the two is shown here. In the throat of our hook, this is where it shows. It determines how your work sits on your hook. Inline has quite an obvious cut down to the head, while tapered has a softer, gradual area to the throat. Now to our final hooky subject. The important thing here is that there is absolutely no right or wrong way to hold your chosen tool. Ultimately, you'll either be a knife holder or a pencil holder. Both names refer to how you hold your hook as you work. As a knife holder, you generally place your index or your pointing finger along the top of the shank, which allows you to control some of the pressure if needed. Thumb is held on the thumb rest, should there be one, while the other 3 fingers hold over the handle. The typical way you'd hold a knife, hence the name. As a pencil holder, the hook is held as you would a pencil. The thumb aids pressure up on the inside with your index, and your middle finger, or fingers, hold the back steady and precisely, leaving your last 2 fingers free. Please look after your hooks. Protect them from damage. Maybe a hook roll where you can easily see your hooks might be a good idea. Linseed oil treat your wooden hooks occasionally and wipe over your plastic and your aluminium hooks regularly with a damp cloth. I really hope you found this lesson beneficial. If you have any questions, please ask them down below in the comments, and I will answer them as best I can in the next episode rather than in the comments. Resources used are 2 books which are linked in the top of the description underneath this video. They are linked via my Amazon affiliate links. Should you choose to grab either book, please do. And that is your lesson on hooks, whether it be Tunisian Afghan hook or cabled, whether it be a wooden hook, a plastic hook, aluminium hook, steel hook, light up hook, or mahoosive hook. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me today. I hope it has been beneficial, and please don't forget the thumbs up. Take care for now. Bye bye.